This episode of Between the Highs podcast is brought to you by Ridgeway Roofing Company. Roofing done the right way.
Welcome to Between the Highs, life behind the logo. This isn't a podcast about overnight success. It's about the long road that came before it. Here we sit down with small business owners from our community and talk about the parts of life you don't see on social media. The childhoods, the setbacks, the detours, the seasons that shaped who they became long before they ever built a brand. We start at the beginning, where they grew up, what home felt like, who they were in school, and what their 20s really looked like when no one had it figured out. We talk about the hardships that changed them, the lessons that stayed, the things they wish they could go back and tell their younger selves. We talk about business, how they started, what they struggled through, and what success actually costs when you're building something of your own. Because most of life doesn't happen at the peaks. It happens in between. That's where the real stories live. Between the highs. Life before the logo. In today's episode, I've got Dwight with Just Screen It, local Richmond Hill contractor. And he's actually friends with Richard Appleton from Appleton International that was on our last episode. Dwight, tell us a little about yourself.
So I actually grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, South Florida area. That's actually where I know Richard Appleton from. In the past, I used to do marine engineering. So we actually worked on a few vessels together in a couple projects. He's an outstanding guy to know.
Yeah. What kind of work did you do with him?
We did like laser alignments on the vessels, doing like pretty much we would align the shaft line to the engine and to the gearbox and the propellers to make sure there was no vibrations in the boats.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty technical work. And Appleton, he would come and do like the insulation and pretty much like the fire, insulation for the exhaust and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was telling me that was basically like a job that nobody wanted to take on, and so it just worked out.
Not at all. No,
Perfect for him.
Super itchy job.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like when we did like laser alignments, we would have to sometimes disconnect the exhaust bellows, which would have like a insulation wrap around it. And once you do that, you're itching for the next 3 days until you finish a job.
Yeah. So doing these screen rooms is like, that's a break for you, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's a cakewalk.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Easy work.
Easy work. Yeah.
So tell me, I want to go back to young Dwight, right? Like what did it look like? Where did you come from? What did home look like for you?
So I actually I was actually born in Texas, in Fort Worth, Texas. And
Okay.
shortly after, I moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I kind of grew up in, I wouldn't say a 100% stable home. Both of my parents had addiction problems. So I grew up in a kind of pretty much rough home. I was the youngest child of all. I have a brother and a sister, both older than I am.
Yeah.
So pretty much kind of grew up and seen all the stipulations that everybody else went through as I was growing up at the time. And in my younger ages, a lot of my memories of like my parents or at that time was my mom. She was highly addicted to pills and stuff. So she would always be pretty much overdosed or slumped out on the couch and never really in person as a mother. My father, he worked all the time, just like I do.
Yeah.
But I do separate family time and business because it's very important to do that.
Yeah.
And he tried the best he could, but my mother didn't work at the time, so he was a single father, caring for a family of 5. So he was, worked all the time, and a lot of his probably working all the time was to get away and stay stress free and not have to deal with the problems that were happening at home. And during the trial times when my mom would be under say high in the moment on pills, and when my father would come home, she would say that I would do something wrong or whatnot, and to discipline me with a spanking or whatnot. So growing up as a child, it was a pretty rough childhood.
Yeah.
And
That's a lot. That's a lot of emotional. It's a lot of
yes.
emotional abuse, and with addicts in general, but especially pills. There's so many highs and lows.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a lot like
Unpredictable.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So it's like one moment you have a mother figure there, and then the next moment they're not there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the up and downs of it, because they have their highs and lows. So it's pretty rough growing up, and more. I'm 4 years apart from my brother, so he actually was able to grow up. And my sister were able to get raised before the addiction kicked in with my mother. So they had more of
Mm.
a relationship with her than I did.
So what's that like when you guys have conversations about childhood? I would imagine that your experience and their experience, of home life was totally different before addiction and after addiction.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely was different, I would say. We don't I can actually, say we don't talk about we don't talk about it, often, just because maybe there's more similarities there, or non-similarity situations and more maybe just negative memories, and maybe I don't have as much to relate to be able to keep, the conversation going in that rough situation.
Yeah. What things did you learn? So I grew up sort of similar, just around addiction, the hardship in young life. And I feel like a lot of that kind of ties into my adult life, just things that I learned, I guess, really overcoming hardships, right? Like when you're in that position as a young person and you have no one to turn to, I feel like people kind of take one route or the other where they internalize all of that and then they fall into the addiction rut or they go the complete opposite. They're like, I'm never going to allow this back in my life.
Yeah.
Um,
I definitely agree with that. I can say for like an example of growing up as a young teen, my mother passed away from addiction at the age of 14, right
mm,
before I turned 15.
that's a
Um,
hard,
it was a hard pill to swallow for sure, being so young and losing your mother. And at that time, I had already ran away from home because I didn't, it was so toxic being there. So I felt more safe leaving at the time. So I was couch hopping pretty much at the age of 15. And my dad ended up selling his business in Fort Lauderdale, and a family friend purchased a business that we knew, and he was pretty much going to use the business as a 24/7 storage unit. And there was like a small room in the back, so I asked if I could actually stay in the room. So I was pretty much homeless. I lived in a warehouse for two years. I actually bathed in a water hose for a little over a year and a half until I was able to put a shower in. But I did, just to make ends meet. I mean, you go through hardships. At that time, I was probably at one of the lowest points in my life,
yeah.
and still trying to look for a brighter future to come ahead.
So how old are you in the warehouse? You're 16?
I was right before I turned 16. I actually stayed at the warehouse.
Right.
So I was 15, and I stayed there till I was 17.
So do you have memory like what was getting you through your day? Like what was your thought process, right? Like what happened? You're waking up in the morning, showering with a water hose. I mean, I would imagine at that point you probably don't have very many people that are showing you kindness, affection, giving you a attaboy.
Y- Amount of love, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what was like your drive? I mean, what was
I would say like my drive. I had like one of my good friends is actually my best man at my wedding. He was just a good friend that was always there to support. Stayed. Never judged a book by its cover. Always just knew who I was as a person. And God, I mean, I would pray all the time and just search for a better future. And I would just always try to tell myself to look 5 years ahead instead of just looking where I'm at presently or
mm,
just in the next week, and never, upset myself or put myself in a deep depression due to the fact that where I'm currently at might not be the best,
yeah,
but in 5 years I can see myself even better than that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've gone through some of those similar where it's just like left foot, right foot. I say that all the time. Like
Yeah.
left foot, right, just don't stop, right? You
Hmm.
just have to keep moving forward, finding a direction and just staying in it.
Yeah. And,
So
and
are you in school at this point or did you
No, I was already out of school. So I pretty much got to sophomore year of high school, and I didn't have enough credits. So they tried to put me in like a BRB program, which was considered like a be right back to regain your credits and
right.
continue going. But I dropped out of school just due to not being able to get the credits, and at that young of an age, I was into stuff that I shouldn't have been into.
Yeah.
Enjoying myself as a teenage, no parents, no guidance, no structure,
Yeah.
and just kind of free flowing my life at the time. Yeah.
No school, you're just working, just getting up, going to work, or what does your day-to-day look like?
I actually got a job at 15. My first job was a dishwasher.
Yeah, mine too, that's
Yeah,
awesome,
in a
man.
restaurant,
Yeah.
fine dining restaurant right off Lauderdale by the Sea and
Yeah.
Commercial Boulevard.
Mine was
And
Steak and Shake.
oh, nice. There you go. Both consider restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I was doing a dishwashing job there, and I worked part time because I was still under the age of 18 and I couldn't work full time. So I worked there for about 2.5 years actually. And I worked as a dishwasher, and I found another job doing pizza delivery. So I've always kind of had a very strong work ethic and a hard hustle because I always wanted to get out of where I was at.
Yeah.
So I consistently worked 2 jobs, and I worked
Right.
at the, dishwashing, and then I got moved up to pizza making, and then I got moved up, in that job to, like, a line cook, doing fine dining line, cooking on the line,
Yeah.
in the restaurant, and at the time, I was, delivering pizza for a pizza place, and I actually quit the pizza place and went to go work at a Greek pastry place, learning how to, make Greek food and, working both jobs at the same time, until, I was finally trying to get out of the, slump. And then I had my brother, he needed a place to stay, and he came and stayed at the warehouse with me.
Yeah.
Um, and long story short, my brother was doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing, and we got kicked out of the only place we had to stay. Which at the time I was a little bit younger to understand what was going on. So we, left foot in front of the right foot, like you were saying, we got pushed to go to the next step of where we were going to go to. And at the time, my brother was 18, so we were able to get an apartment.
Yeah.
So we got an apartment, and which we stayed there for a very short time because my brother wasn't paying the rent, which I didn't know about,
Yeah.
you know. But so then after that, I ended up moving into a motel off the beach, right off where my job was at, right off Lauderdale by the Sea and Commercial Boulevard. And I stayed 1 block away from where my current job was at the fine dining restaurant. And I paid $325. I'll never forget it. I paid $325 a week in my rent to stay in the motel. This efficiency, it's a little studio,
Yeah.
pretty much a closet, you know, and the chef that worked at the restaurant that ran the restaurant knew my situation, so he always looked out for me as just a good person, and let me, eat at the restaurant, and because my check was pretty much between 325, 350.
Yeah.
This is when you're making $10 an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty fun time growing up at that time.
Yeah, that's relatable.
Yeah.
My first job was my first job like out of school as an I guess like you could say as an adult was doing new construction. We did vinyl siding and some roofing, right? So it was new construction stuff, not re-roofs like we're doing now. But I did that, and then I worked at Beef O'Brady's at nighttime, right? And that was like my meal, right? Like I went to work at night, not for the money, but just so there was food. So when you were going through that part of your life, right? You had a couple different jobs, and it sounds like there wasn't a whole lot of, attaboy. There wasn't a home life. There wasn't someone cheering you on. I would imagine one of your employers, they all respected you because you've always been a hard worker. So did you develop a strong relationship with one of those that you felt like somebody sort of kind of gave you that little bit of extra motivation or had some faith in you?
Yeah, definitely. The fine dining restaurant, the chef that worked there,
Yeah.
we're actually still friends to this day on Facebook,
That's
and
awesome.
we actually keep in touch with each other. I mean, this is we're talking 18 years later,
Yeah.
and we still communicate through Facebook. And now he's back in Switzerland, but he was a big influence and just a great person that would always kind of cheer you on and make sure ask when you come in, hey, how are you doing, just
Yeah.
a simple how is your day going, or a simple good morning, goes a long way when it comes to someone that doesn't have a stable home life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We forget like how important that is. I
Ye-
mean, just a simple like, "Hey, I see you," right? Like, I
yes.
recognize that you're going through hardship, but you're still doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
Uh, just that little gesture definitely picks someone's day up for
yeah.
sure.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's so easy just to add a little something to somebody's life, and we don't realize how big of an impact that can have, whenever someone is just completely down in the slumps.
Hmm.
Like Richard, when the last podcast we did, he made a comment, you don't realize how good a sucker is, until you've had your first one, right? And just how sweet something so simple can be,
Exactly.
how big of an impact it can make.
Yeah, and just how it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything just to be a nice person and
Right.
check in on somebody. Even because you never know what someone's going through in their personal life. So it's always
Yeah,
good to have
100%.
someone just to check in on them and just see how they're
Yeah.
doing.
Regardless of their
Yeah,
financials.
exactly. Yeah.
Rich people hurt too, right?
Yeah. Everybody has a heart and emotions at the end of the
Yeah.
day, you know?
Especially when they get the quote, right?
Yeah, that 100%.
Um, so you're what happens next? So you're working at the restaurant. You've got in good with the chef. You've got somebody that's kind of cheering you on. Are you starting to catch some footing now? What's
So
the
so
next
now
step look like?
at that point, where I was at, I was still at the motel, and I left the motel, and was dating an ex girlfriend at the time, and we found an apartment that we moved into, and I stayed at the apartment, and then we had some fallouts with me and her, so I ended up leaving and was back. Couch hopping again, actually. So, and then I met a family friend of mine that her name is Jerry, and she was an elderly lady. She was in her 70s, and she knew about my situation, and she let me actually rent a room out of her house. So I stayed there for a little bit of time, and then I ended up. I was looking to get into like working on a yacht, working as a chef, traveling the world, just enjoying life, letting them
Yeah.
pay for all my toiletries and cooking food for everybody. And so I was trying to get my foot in the door of getting into marine industry. And one of my neighbors at the time knew a company that was looking to hire somebody. Datum is the company, and Steve and Andy are the two owners. And they wanted to have an interview with me. And at the time, I'm 18, getting ready to turn 19. I'm mechanically inclined and hands-on knowledgeable, not book smart worm, not a bookworm, but definitely smart. And so I came to do the interview with them, and they wanted to come try me out. So I was actually running a catering company at the time, and working the fine dining restaurant, both jobs. And so I came and worked for them, and 2 days on my day off.
Mhm.
And I looked at them and I said, I will be back. And sure enough, I ended up quitting the job, put my 2 week notice in. I left and started, working a career, getting my foot in the door, starting to actually build a foundation for myself. And I was doing marine engineering. It's actually where I met Richard Appleton in the same industries. And at that time, slowly but surely, I worked for them for about 2 years. And then I met my wife at the time. She lived in Orlando.
Yeah. So how old are you when you guys met?
I was 19. Yeah,
Okay.
right at 19.
Yeah.
And, me and my wife, we have a very strong bond with each other. She was one that really helped hold me up when I was in a bad situation or helped guide things when I was really building a platform for myself. So, with the marine engineering, and we dated for about a year. We would travel back and forth from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale. And then, I ended up making the move up to Orlando. And I worked 2 jobs again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was helped running a restaurant for my uncle, and I got into construction industry. And slowly but surely, we started involving ourselves.
What kind of construction was your first
I worked
experience?
I worked for a builder, the only builder I worked for that where I learned all of what I know at. We did full house builds. So we would do builds from the grade of the ground to the final product. We would also do like bedroom additions and garage additions, and we would do patio lanais and patio additions and screen rooms and pool enclosures. And the guys that I worked with, it was a very small company, but the guys that I worked with were, they were old school cats. These were the guys that you needed to learn from, and I knew this was a big opportunity, and that I could possibly take this to the next level if I actually put my mind to it and learned the construction industry. So I paid attention, took notes, took photos, and within 2 years, I really took knowledge and learned at what we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. One thing I know for sure, I mean, we've done a lot of jobs together. I mean, we've done, I don't know,
a
a
lot.
lot. We've done a lot of work
Yeah.
together. And 2 things that I would say I know about you for certain is 3. Honesty. I know you're honest. Like you just have whatever you say, I know it's truthful. Um, 2, like you are intelligent. I mean, like you say you're not book smart, but if it's a code book, man, you're pretty book smart.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you are intelligent, and I mean, you're an incredibly hard worker. I mean, it was hard to even get you here, right? I mean, to be able to find time in your day to sit down and just have, a conversation that didn't involve work, man. So I have a ton of respect for you.
Thank you.
Um, we try to recommend you to as many people as we can. not just because you're a friend, but because, when you show up, you're going to do what's right. You're going to do good. But you did my house. I mean, I was
Yeah.
blown away by that, man.
Yeah.
That was so incredible for you to do. I enjoyed being with you and your wife and your little girl that day. Um, so at this point, what would you say has been your biggest hardship? Like, looking back, so 12 to 22, what was the biggest hardship that you had to overcome?
I would say the biggest hardship that I had to overcome, was losing my mother at a young age,
Yeah.
and then, having nowhere to live, trying to figure life out on my own because I thought at that time it was a better route to go versus trying to have a maybe non-stable structural life at home.
Yeah.
So that was probably one of the biggest hardships that I had to go through.
Did you have
Um
any connection with your dad?
I did have connection with my dad. We never talked.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad's not a bad guy. He
Right.
ended up meeting another wife at the time, another lady at the time, and they ended up getting married. So he moved on. Which I mean, if you were in a divorce or whatnot, that's what you do. You can't reminisce for life. Not saying move on and get married, but everybody has their own path they want to take.
Yeah.
And you can't judge them for what they want to do.
Right.
So I w he would never call me, so I was stubborn. I said, "He never calls me. I'm never calling him."
Yeah. Right.
The good old stubborn
Is your
young
dad still?
young teenager age. But now now that I got older and me and my wife got married and I have a daughter now, I talk to my dad all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we talk all the time. I go see him. He still lives in Texas actually. The good old redneck,
Yeah.
but he's a good guy. And I understand now, being older, what he went through
Right.
trying to keep a stable life at home and still trying to separate the toxicness from trying to be a person,
Yeah.
or a father at the time. So I can understand and see the hardship that he went through as well,
Yeah.
where it was hard for him and easier for him to walk away from it. But I would say that's definitely one of my biggest hardships. But with all of the hardship happening, everything is still achievable. We're still able to overcome it. It's really just a mental aspect of knowing that there's still light at the end of the tunnel.
What would you say? I completely agree with that. What would you say has been the lesson that you learned out of that hardship? Like, I feel like who I am today, there's not one thing that I've gone through that I would go back and change. Like, oh, I enjoy who I am, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm really proud of the man that, life has molded me into. And without those lessons through the hardships, I would not be here the way that I am today. So what would you say has been your the biggest lesson you learned through that hardship that's carried you through?
I would say the biggest lesson I learned, and I mean, we've had another hardship since even just moving from Georgia to Florida. We moved up to Florida, and just within 6 months of living here, our house caught on fire. We lost everything we owned. We weren't at home at the time to put out the electrical fire or to try to cause something that didn't happen. But I would say, between the hardships of in my teenage years to the hardships in just growing older and building my family and going through stipulations here and there, the biggest lesson I learned is to not stay focused in the present of what's going on and always look for a better growth in the future, because
Yeah.
in the moment you could be going through a very hardship. I'll say it. Steve from Datum, he passed away last week, and I mean that's a hardship. It's a very hard pill to swallow. But at the end of the day, I know that he was a good person. He was in my life for a reason. And even though you can go through a hardship, and you're gonna have multiple hardships in your life, and stipulations that you go through, it's just a good lesson to just know that there's always a brighter future to where you're looking at. Never put it behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're constantly you're lasered in, right?
Yeah, well, like, tunnel vision is what I say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always, say, look 5 years ahead of where you're at, and then look 10,
Yeah.
and then revisit the 5th year, because where you wanna be in 10 years will determine what your goals are for in 5 years.
Right.
So I'm always trying to look where I wanna be in 10 years from now,
Right.
which is And being in business, I mean, owning a business, a local owned business, coming here fresh with other companies, more competition, and
Yeah.
trying to get my foot into the door.
So let's get into that. So you and your wife moved up here. How long ago was that?
We moved up here almost 4 years ago. So we moved up here in May of 2022.
When did you start Just Screen It?
So I started Just Screen It in 2023.
Okay. So
Yeah.
like right after you guys moved up here.
Yeah.
What was the call to come here from Florida?
The call to come here from Florida was really just to get my way out of day-to-day operations in the Just Screen It corporation that I own down in Florida.
Right.
Because I did a lot of admin work there and had a business partner. He can take care of the field. We have guys there. So I was trying to get my way out of day-to-day operations as well as provide a future for my wife. She wanted to go into nursing. So we looked into the Coastal Georgia College, and that was one of the pluses to moving up here. And Steve, again from Datum, he lived up here, and they're just great people. They did a blessing at our wedding, and we just really got to become like family friends with them. And I looked at him as like a father figure.
Yeah.
And once we knew they lived up here, it was just set in stone. We just decided let's make it happen, And
Right.
so we moved on up. We decided in Richmond Hill.
Yeah. So you moved up here 22, house burned down. Was that 22?
That was actually January 21st of 2023.
Okay. So that
Yeah.
was fresh in. So you had been here. How long do you say you had been here whenever that happened?
We were here for 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were
It had to be
fresh in.
devastating.
Yeah, it beyond devastating. Yeah, it was super devastating.
Yeah.
At the time when we moved here, we sold our house in Florida, and COVID happened, so
Yeah.
we were able to sell the house and make a good return on it, and we had good savings. So, when we moved here, we decided that we were going to start relaxing and enjoying life, and let's actually enjoy our family more, because my wife, she was in a family business that took all of her time at the time. And so we bought all new furniture and stuff, all the fancy things you want to get, and then the house fire happened. So it was very devastating, just to see it happen in such a short period of time and know we couldn't do anything to solve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was another hard pill to swallow.
But I feel like for you, you were probably like, just keep going, right? Just
Yeah, I mean, definitely had a 5 hour drive back from Orlando with quite a few tears shed on
Yeah.
the way up here, But at the end of the day, what can you do?
Right.
The house is on fire. At the time, and they put it out. The house was condemned to total loss. We were underinsured from the insurance company. They put us in the wrong policy. The claim was $250,000. We were insured for $80,000. So yeah, it was a nightmare. But at the time, the only thing that I can do is try to figure a way to move forward,
Yeah.
because there's nothing else you can't do.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the beautiful things about hardship at a young age, right? Is it's just instilled in you, like this is like this is going to pass.
yeah,
Right? Like I just have to keep going. The tide's going to change, right? It's everything in life ebbs and flows, finances, relationships, businesses. It's like you have
definitely,
highs and you've got
definitely.
lows. That's kind of where the title came from, right? Between the highs, man, because you had these great moments in
Yeah.
life where you just like you're peaking out, and then you come back down, but you have to know when you're down, you're coming back up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when you're up, there's going to be another down, right? They're going to
Yes. Yeah.
continue to flow.
You're always going to have your ups and downs, and
Mhm.
even though you get through one, you're going to have another speed bump to get over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you started, Just Screen It, what? And you don't have to answer this question, but I like to ask it. How much capital did you have when you started it?
Well, I'll be 100% honest. When I started, I had none.
Yeah.
I actually was driving a 2007 Honda Civic. When I came up here, I left the other company truck that I owned down in Florida, because I had the ladder rack and it pulled the trailer. We only had 2 trucks on there, so I left it down there for the guys. And I bought a 2007 Honda Civic for $1,500.
Nice.
And I drove that. I actually didn't have no capital. I sold my first job to the Bortle family, and I had a $4,000 profit on the job. And there was a F-150, a 2004 F-150, had 289,000 miles, and it was $4,000.
Yeah. You're like, let's go.
Yeah, so I was like,
Yeah.
let's go. So I went.
What year was it?
2004.
2004.
Yeah.
I started Ridgeway.
No,
with,
2000. Sorry, 2000. Yeah, 2004. Yeah, the Honda Civic was 2007.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ridgeway was first truck was a '06 F-150.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
200. I think it had 280,000 miles. Yeah, I gave it to. He's 19 now, but I gave it to our oldest son, and he flipped it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. He survived, and he was actually just on a dirt road, so it wasn't like a high speed thing. Thank
Oh,
God
good,
he
good,
was
thank
fine.
God.
But yeah, that was
Yeah,
it's like, man, it's my baby. Um,
yeah, but
those
yeah,
moments, you finally get a couple of grand, right? And you can buy something to use for work, man. It's a beautiful feeling.
yeah, it was definitely rewarding. The job that I did was actually down the street from where I currently live now, and if you would have seen me on the job, you would have probably said you wouldn't have wanted to do business with me on the day. You watched me walk 10 houses down with a bundle of aluminum in my hand.
Yeah, that's right. That's beautiful,
But
man.
that's starting from the bottom and just trying to look for a future to grow to.
Yeah. One of my intentions behind this podcast, is to be able to share that, where when I talk with people, like, man, I see your trucks everywhere, right? Ridgeway trucks. You got how many trucks do you guys have?
We have 6 trucks.
Yeah, no, you got six,
Yeah.
dude. I don't even have to see your logo. You've done such a good job with branding. I don't need to read the truck to know
Thank you.
there goes Just Screen It. Like, I can even just see your hat somewhere in a crowd, and just that orange, the way it stands out. You did a fantastic job. I love to shed light on the fact that most of the people that I know that are successful come from really hard backgrounds, right? And to shed light on the fact that you don't need $20,000. You don't need a crazy loan. You just got
Mhm.
to have a dream and then the willpower to keep left foot, right foot, right? Because it's going to get hard. Even when you make it, like even when you get
Definitely.
into $1 million in revenue, it's man, there's still hard days. There's still unexpected things that are on the way to you, right? They're going to cause
Yeah.
hardship. And it's just that you have to keep just left foot, right foot and through it.
Definitely. I can say, especially, you never know when something can happen. And being a new business owner, when you have the holidays that come in and you have the slow season that comes around,
Yeah.
if you don't have enough capital, in the busy season, you have, 5 guys or 10 guys, or some companies have 20 guys. And when it comes around to the slow season, are you still able to fund all your guys' payroll without, going into debt yourself? And that's one thing about business is you have to understand when you're funding payroll to fund your business, or if you're funding payroll for the looks, just to look that you have employees. And that's one thing that a lot of business owners have a hardship with us understanding is you can have a great relationship with somebody and they can work for you, but you can also still have the same relationship with that person and they don't have to work for you. Just if you can't afford them at the time or you hire too quickly, sometimes you have to let people go. And if you
Yeah.
just, usually say it in an honest way and let the staff know or the employee know, like, hey, look, this is what happened, you can still keep that bond and that friendship.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
and that's hard. I mean,
and it's hard,
when
yeah.
your people, when people's livelihood depends on, your ability to make the phone ring, man,
Yeah,
that's I mean, that's a major challenge, and whenever you're not responsible just for feeding your own children, you're responsible for feeding the children of multiple families, man. That's a stress. That's one of the stresses I wasn't prepared for.
definitely.
Um, yeah, I mean, that's tough.
And I think that like when as new business owners, when they have that stress, that they're unsure how to go about it
Yeah.
versus just, trying to find a solution that is good for everyone, I mean, even by just, hey, maybe I have to let this staff member go, but, I know Ridgeway Roofing, they might need an employee. So let me call them and see if I can line something up just
Yeah.
to, keep them in line and, give them another opportunity with another spot, another
That's a great
company,
point. Yeah.
so it's solving business and running business in the slow times is more mental stressful, definitely,
Mhm.
and emotional because you have to think about, that person's family and are they going to work at another company, or, are you going to lose their friendship, or
Right.
could they bash your company because they're upset that they got let go,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and then you're carrying that weight, and then you're walking into a homeowner's house,
Yeah. Yeah,
"Can you do it cheaper?" And I mean, it's, that is a true struggle. I feel like the Savannah market, is a very difficult market. It's a very cost-driven, price-driven market.
definitely.
Like for roofing, right? There's no license. The state of Georgia does not offer a roofing license. So we've got I don't know, $500,000+ invested into both of us, right? I mean, into our companies, but we're bidding against people that only have subcontractors.
Yeah,
It makes it challenging.
it makes it definitely a big challenge on trying to bid jobs and win jobs because you have the proper documents and the correct overhead to run your company the
Right.
correct way, and then you have someone that will come in and not have the correct licensing, or just come in and sub it out to someone else that doesn't have any licensing and doesn't know what they're doing, and still
Yeah.
do a shiesty job, and then you have to come back and turn around and still offer still offer your bid at the same rate, if not more than that, to fix the job that they messed up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you could go back in time, like knowing what you've known now, right, all the things that you've overcome, this might be a difficult question, but if you were to go back, walk through that warehouse door, and go back there to the back and little Dwight showering in the water hose, man, what would you tell your 20-year-old self, your 16-year-old self?
I would go back and tell myself to complete school at the time. At the time growing up, I didn't have a dream of being, a car mechanic, or, a chef in a restaurant, or a construction owner, or a business owner. My goal and my dream when I was a child growing up, I always wanted to be a cardiologist. I wanted to be a heart surgeon. And it's something I actually still would always want to do to this day. But, I think it's an important part in life to be able to make sure you do complete school and
Mhm.
you do get a degree. And if you don't get a college degree, there's still tons of opportunities to open your own business and go further with yourself. But I think just the more knowledge you know is better.
Mhm.
So it doesn't hurt to have a degree in accounting, or have a degree in business management, or to have a degree in, nursing or anything. I think it's the more you know, the more knowledgeable you are. So I would say something that I wish could go back and tell myself is to stay more focused on building a career path for myself at a younger age.
Yeah.
And it could always have brought me to more success at this time, to where I still had the construction company and also had multiple other, businesses or opportunities going on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, tell yourself, "Hey, you can get out of survival mode.
exactly.
You're going to
Yeah,
live,
yeah.
right? You gotta keep it between the lines for now." Yeah,
Yes,
I'm with
definitely.
you on that, man.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people get in survival mode,
Mhm,
and are trying to find the next way to get to the next level, to get out of it.
mhm.
And I think it's very difficult for small business owners like us that are coming in, and we got our businesses are established. We run very professional businesses, and just staying ahead of the game and keeping our foot, left foot, right foot, and keep growing the business within where we're at, and still making sure every job is built with quality and honesty to
Yeah,
the clients.
and building yourself and your team. I mean, to me, that is the ultimate joy in Ridgeway, is just the camaraderie that we have, I love my staff. I mean, they're my best friends. I mean, that's we
Yeah.
like we I think we have 4 different group chats. I mean, we talk constantly, and building those relationships has been life-changing for me. I hope so for them too, but, they have definitely impacted my life in a major way,
Yeah.
and the relationships outside of Ridgeway. I mean, there's a whole list, you and I both share a similar Rolodex, of people that we do business with, and, having those relationships are, um, so important. But most of them share similar stories,
Yeah.
like ours.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. A lot of people do, share the same stories, and it's, once you get to know the person, you really get to understand their story and see where they come from, and some of the hardships they, came from, and you're able to grow and learn from other people's hardships, and just be able to, focus and learn how to build yourself better. And I think like our staff, it's very important that what you said about having a good relationship with your staff. Our staff, we're like a big family, just like you were saying with yours.
Yeah,
We joke around all the time. We go out to lunches. We talk to each other. We are with our employees and our staff 75% of the day
yeah,
and out of the year, versus with our family. So
right,
they end up becoming family. And it's nice when you can have a good work environment where everybody's just a big family, and
yeah,
everybody wants to come to work and wants to see each other and cheers each other on and supports one another.
yeah,
And your company reflects that. And I think ours, I think we shared the same reflection of our companies on that.
yeah, I agree.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was awesome having this conversation. I appreciate you, putting your story out there. I think these kind of stories need to be told. We see scrolling social media, we see all the highlights, right?
Yeah.
We see the pretty faces, the pretty
Yeah.
smiles, the life
All
is
the
good.
Photoshop.
Yeah, I'm on the beach,
Yeah.
right? But
Mhm.
what people don't share, man, are these kind of stories of, a shower in the back of a warehouse, losing parents, addiction. I mean, I've been through a lot of the similar things, and it's not something that you walk around talking about. One, because you don't want the sympathy from it, and two, it's not what I want to be known for. I don't want to be known for what I came through. I want to be known for what I'm building.
Definitely.
And I know you're the exact same way, man. And I appreciate really what I want to say to you. Uh, I appreciate the energy and the light that you shine into this community. You were given an option, red pill, blue pill,
Yeah.
and you chose to shine light. You don't even want to talk about hardship. You don't even want to. You're just like, dude, let's just go to work, right? Let's just go make some magic happen. And I love that
Definitely.
about you, man. And it's recognized throughout the community. I've never heard anyone speak negatively about you.
Thank you, thank you.
And that, as a contractor, I mean,
That's big.
that's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very important to always give back, and, the business isn't just about the dollar figure. I never found it to be about the dollar figure. I enjoy the connections. I enjoy, the connection, relationship me and you have. I enjoy meeting Matt, the relationship me and Matt have, and just a lot of the other local family-owned businesses that are around, and just the relationship you earn. And even with the clients, more of your clients don't stay as a client. They become friends,
Friends. Yeah.
and you get to know them more. And there's another friend that we have that we did a job for, and when we first actually opened the company here, and we've been to 4 Savannah Banana games with them,
Yeah.
so it's like nice being able to build a relationship and know that business is not just about the dollar figure.
Right.
There is so much more to running a business and being able to provide. I'm a big person that wants to give, so I like providing. I like
Mhm.
gifting things and being able to provide a service to the community that's good quality craftsmanship with honest pricing is just something that I strive for,
Yeah.
and it's something that I enjoy doing. And I think that what the community gives me, and has my back with everything, and how much we give back, and we want to give back, and this is why we give a lot back to the sponsorships for the children of Bryan County and just the local
Yeah.
community that we're in, because it's very important that everybody has an opportunity to grow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Well, let's keep doing it, brother.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming on.
Definitely.
It was awesome to chat with you. I appreciate you sharing your story. And Matt Gibson with Story Oakley, we're extremely grateful for you providing the platform for this. Thank you, brother.
thank you.
Between the Highs podcast is produced inside Story Oak Studios. StoryOakStudios.com.